Today we're going to improve the Fractal S2's airflow by modding it from stock to this. Welcome back! It's case modding time. Since we are not completely happy with the S2's airflow and the S2 Meshify's front panel doesn't look too good in our opinion, we decided to take matters into our own hands. This mod is quite easy to do if you know what you're doing. You just need some basic manual skills and only a few simple tools. First, the good news. The S2's front panel is very easy to mod, because it provides us with a natural frame where a new airflow optimized panel fits in without a lot of issues. Now the bad news. There are some manufacturing tolerances, so you can't just order a perfectly fitting panel. But we'll take care of that later. First of all, we need a new front plate. Its thickness mustn't exceed 1 mm or it will stick out of the frame too far. There are lots of online services who will send a pre-cut piece of aluminum directly to your house. We paid 26 euros for ours, including shipping. Check out the description below for the correct measurements. The next thing you need is a perforated metal plate with a pattern of your choice. We went with 1.5 mm of aluminum, which was dead cheap, like 8 euros or so. Then you need spray paint. White, black, clear, and a matching primer. We used rally paint for cars because it's quite tough and more or less easy to apply. And last but not least, some glue. The glue of your choice should be workable for at least 30 minutes. We used a clear 2-component epoxide system which will stay liquid for at least 80 to 90 minutes. Okay, let's go. First, we fit the perforated metal plate into the original inner frame. Mark where you need to cut and saw it into shape. Cut it a few millimeters smaller than it needs to be and radius the edges so you can still move it around to each side. Next, we file away some of the material from our new frame's edge to make it fit into the outer original frame. Don't forget to radius the corners a little bit, else it won't fit seamlessly like you can see here. Afterwards, soften every edge just a tiny bit because your spray paint won't stick to sharp ones. Once we're done with these preparations, we can start painting our parts. For optimal adhesion, make sure you roughen the surface with sandpaper. Also, they need to be perfectly clean without any fat or other residues on their surface. We used acetone, which gets the job done smoothly. Now we can apply the primer. Thoroughly shake the can, make sure it's not too cold or too hot at your workplace or it won't stick properly and your varnish will look ugly as f***. Let it dry, then carefully roughen it with sandpaper. We use a grain size of 600 here. Be careful not to grind away the primer, just roughen the surface a little bit. After we're done, we wash both of our parts with soapy water to get rid of the leftover dust from sanding. Now, let's apply the white paint. There are lots of good tutorials out there, so I'll just cover the basics here. For a good result, you need at least 4 thin layers. You can start by just spraying paint extensively. Then finish it off with 2 diagonal layers to get a uniform surface without blotches or other irregularities. Leave around 10 minutes between each layer. The same goes for the perforated metal plate. Once you're done, seal off the paint with a few layers of clear coat. Let everything dry and then check if there are any inclusions like little pieces of dust or something similar. If that's the case, then polish them away with wet sandpaper. A grain size of 2000 will do the job. If your result makes you cry blood, then prepare some more soapy water, roughen the surface a bit, clean it and apply some new layers of paint. After letting it dry completely overnight, polish the varnish with a grain size of 2000, then 2500 and then 3000 until it looks nice and shiny. Now let's glue the whole thing together. Put the perforated metal plate on the back side of your new frame and find a position where the whole structure looks nice as seen from the front. Mark it accurately. We need to place it with as little tolerance as possible later. A good method is to mark various hole patterns to help with the alignment. Now that we're done, we prepare the glue. Like previously mentioned, it's a 2-component epoxide glue which stays liquid for at least 80 to 90 minutes. We apply a layer of glue around our frame. Stay clear of the inner edge or you will squeeze out glue onto the paint once you attach the perforated front part later on. Once you're done, remove the excess glue and thin out the rest of the adhesive layer until only a thin film remains. Now we carefully put the 2 parts together. Remember to put on some gloves to prevent gluing yourself onto your rig. Make sure everything is aligned perfectly. Toothpicks let you move around the air inlet until it sits exactly within your markings. And we're done for today. Put some heavy stuff onto the inlet to firmly hold it in place. Then go play some games or whatever and leave your piece of work alone until the next day. Once the glue is perfectly dry, we need to do the final step. Attach the new front onto the original frame. We prepare some more glue and get right into it. Follow the same principles as before. Glue goes on every surface, which will get into contact with the front frame. Make sure you don't apply too much or it will again squeeze out of the sides and onto your paint, which would be very problematic to remove once it's dried without damaging the varnish. Make sure the glue reaches every corner and also the little struts on the original frame's inner edges. Alright, that's it. We carefully attach the front and push both parts together firmly. If any glue gets squeezed out somewhere, remove it immediately. Grab a wet wipe and ensure you remove any excess glue or other residues. Now that everything is nice and clean, we protect the paint with some plastic wrap and then place something flat and heavy on top, like this beach board. This will ensure the front will sink into the plastic frame and the glue gets a proper connection to both pieces. Now we wait another 12 hours and then it's time to test our awesome construction. Our RTX 2070 is cooled by a radiator which exhausts heated air through the front panel. Its fans are fixed at 900 RPM, while the case fans are running at 550 RPM. Leaving the front open, we max out at 55 degrees after 20 minutes of superposition benchmark. Our modded front panel increases the maximum temperature to 57 degrees. If we professionally simulate the old closed panel, we reach 60 degrees. Just for fun, I ran a test at 1900 RPM fans, which resulted in 51 degrees max with a new front panel and 55 degrees with a closed front. These results don't seem like much of a difference, but they actually lower the whole system's temperature, which translates into slower spinning fans. This means we could reduce all fan speeds between 100 and 200 RPM while staying at the same temperatures as before with the stock front panel. As a result, the system is quieter than ever before, and it looks awesome in our opinion. So that's it for today. Hope we could inspire your own builds, or maybe you want to replicate what we did here. If yes, then please tell us how it went. We'd be really happy to see your results. If you enjoyed the video in any way, then consider to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, keep building, and see you next time.